What up, guys? It's your boy Quake, and right on cue, just like I predicted, Suge Knight has decided to react to Drake using AI voices of Tupac and AI voices of Snoop Dogg to disrespect Kendrick Lamar, who's part of the West Coast, who's from Compton. And I predicted this already ahead of everything, that Suge Knight was going to say this and that it would end up potentially causing a West Coast slash, not East Coast because Drake isn't from the East, he's from Toronto up north, but it could potentially cause the old times of Tupac and Biggie where a whole coast will go against a whole coast. I'm not saying that it should get there and that I hope it never does, but using Tupac is a very sensitive thing, and using him to disrespect somebody from the West Coast, which Tupac repped a lot, is another sensitive thing. And Suge Knight utters the exact same thing I was saying on my last podcast where I talked about 50 and what he said about the track. And he just said, listen, I know how this goes. I've seen this movie before. It can get bad out here. And a lot of people are saying you're reaching with that, Quake. He's just saying Drake is that good of an artist and that, he'll destroy, anybody that goes at him, whatever. That's another route that you could take. But I viewed it more as, be careful with bringing in, especially a dead artist, back to disrespect somebody that really respected him. And that a lot of people look at the second coming of him. A lot of people look at Kendrick as this next Tupac that's carrying the torch. So, yeah, Suge Knight uttered the same thing. So we know Snoop Dogg responded to it. He just basically kind of laughed off. He didn't really side with anybody. He just was confused. He's like, what? How? Who? And 50 responded in the way he responded. And what we wanted to hear from is obviously Suge Knight. He's the one that was closest to Pac. He responds to the track, but then also throws Snoop Dogg under the bus because a lot of people feel like Snoop Dogg has always been jealous of Tupac, always hated him, even when he was alive, stuff like that. So Suge Knight throws him under the bus. So check out what Suge Knight has to say.
Drake, hey, Justin, young people do what young people do. It's y'all turn. But my little homie Pop, he wasn't no joke. Ben, you damn sure ain't no joke. I'll be made up a joke now. Putting him on a song with him dissing Kendrick of Everybody Entertainment, that ain't how it go. Boy, putting him on a song with Snoop, who was part of his downfall, and never a good look. Pac was a king on that chessboard. He never was a pawn, so he can't make to be a pawn now. West Coast, it's a whole state, real gang members of all colors, all races. You want them coming together, especially when motherfuckers sleeping in the lion's den. Wake those lions up. On the West Coast, enter with caution.
So as you can hear, Suge Knight basically addresses Drake, hey, don't use this guy as a pawn. He's a king on the chessboard. This guy's at a higher level than you could ever fathom, and you're using him as a tool to go against a guy who's from the West Coast that highly respects Tupac. So, here's the thing. A lot of people probably from the West Coast feel like this because I mentioned in the last podcast, once again, I'm going to bring this up. There was that 2014 moment that Drake went on the Sports Center, whatever sports show on ESPN. I forget what show it was exactly. And he went in on Kendrick, but ultimately ended up never releasing it. He told ESPN, do not put that out because he feared that it was too early and it would cause a coastal issue between them, because he was actually saying in that interview, he said, hey, Kendrick is just local. Only people in Compton listen to him. Nobody really fucks with Kendrick outside of Compton. And that would have alienated Drake from the West Coast, from L.A. So it was smart of him at that time to be like, nah, I ain't going to release this, and don't release it. Don't put it out. Because once you do that, you're going to alienate a whole side and you're going to have problems. And that was too early in his career to be doing that. Now he's a lot more popular, a lot bigger as an artist. No Diddy, a lot more money, just more powerful overall. So, now he feels more comfortable in, going at Kendrick and potentially, going at a whole coast. You know how people ride for the West Coast and their West Coast artists. And then Suge Knight utters another thing that I said. It's a West Coast. There's a lot of gangs involved. Bloods, Crips. They will get together to stand beside Kendrick Lamar to go at Drake. And a lot of rappers would probably go on Kendrick Lamar's side in the West Coast. YG would side with him. I'm sure there's going to be so many on that side that it would be ridiculous. That's why Snoop Dogg didn't really side with anybody, because I feel like he wants to be in the middle of this thing. But if it really came down to it, Snoop Dogg would side with Kendrick Lamar. Game, I don't know. Game kind of hinted at being on Drake's side, so I don't know about that. But you know, it'd get really, let's just say, really, really bad. You know, so he needs to tread lightly with that. I would be careful on the Tupac thing. I would tread lightly, even though I felt it wasn't really disrespectful, but it was, you know, kind of disrespectful to use somebody else's voice and then go at a West Coast artist that, who knows, Tupac would have probably loved if he was alive. So yeah, I agree overall with Suge Knight on what he said, and I really appreciated his take on this, because his insight when it comes to anything Tupac related, I always want to hear, because it's just always interesting. So let me know what you guys think. Would it ever get to a point where, hey, it would be a whole coastal battle like the Tupac and Biggie thing? Or, you know, will people just kind of look at it as a joke diss that, you know, that shouldn't be taken really serious? Let me know. I think, you know, if Drake, you know, mentions Compton, hey, you're locally in Compton, nobody really rocks with you outside of the West Coast, starts to bring the West Coast thing a lot more in the disses. If it continues on, you know, if Kendrick responds and he responds, it can get really bad. You know, mentioning Top, TDE, and, you know, that gets to levels of disrespecting other people, and then more people get involved. But yeah, we'll keep our eyes posted on if anything happens, but let me know what you guys think. That's it for today's video. If you guys want to support this channel further, you can do so at patreon.com/diverse mentality. For just $3 a month, you can get my videos uncut and raw the way I intended them to be, but couldn't because of YouTube. Plus, you also get access to our Discord community, where we have a great community talking about hip-hop and various other things. It's very dope. So only $3 a month. I'd really appreciate the support. Also, follow us on social media at QuakeGW and at Diverse Mentality. Thank you so much for the support, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.